Rain tapped steadily against the cracked plastic roof of the bus shelter, each drop echoing through the quiet street. Like a clock counting down a life no one seemed to notice. She lay curled on the cold metal bench, her thin jacket pulled tightly around her, though it did little to block the wind that slipped in from every open side. A fading bruise darkened the skin beneath her eye, swollen and purple against her pale face, telling a story she hadn't spoken aloud. Her hands trembled, even in sleep, as if her body remembered fear. Her mind was trying to escape. People passed by earlier in the evening. Some slowed, most didn't. But no one stopped. No one ever really stopped. It was nearly midnight when he arrived, his footsteps hesitant as he approached the shelter. He wasn't supposed to be here. His route home had changed because of the storm, but something about the still figure on the bench caught his attention. At first, he thought she might just be another tired commuter, but as he stepped closer, the truth revealed itself in the dim streetlight. He noticed the bruise, the way her shoes were worn down, the absence of any belongings that suggested she had somewhere to go. He paused, wrestling with that familiar internal question, whether to walk away or get involved. People often chose the easier answer. Instead, he cleared his throat softly, not wanting to startle her. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked, his voice careful, almost unsure. She stirred slightly, her eyes opening just enough to see him before quickly scanning her alert and guarded. Instinct replaced exhaustion in a second. She sat up, wincing as she moved, her hand brushing against her face. "I'm fine," she muttered, though her voice lacked conviction. He nodded slowly, not pushing but not leaving either. "There's a cafe still open around the corner," he said after a moment. "It's warm. I was heading there anyway. You could come, just for coffee." He kept his tone neutral, offering rather than insisting. She studied him, searching for something: danger, pity, a hidden cost. Whatever she expected, she didn't seem to find it. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The rain filled the silence, steady and persistent. Finally, she looked down at her shaking hands and then back at him. "Just coffee," she said quietly, more like a condition than acceptance. "Just coffee," he agreed. As they stepped out of the shelter together, the storm hadn't stopped, and neither had whatever had brought her there. But for the first time that night, she wasn't facing it alone. The cafe was small and nearly empty, tucked between a closed pharmacy and a flickering convenience store. A warm yellow light spilled out onto the wet pavement, offering a quiet kind of comfort that felt almost unreal after the cold outside. Inside, the air smelled of fresh coffee and something sweet, maybe cinnamon. She hesitated at the door, her hand barely touching the handle, as if stepping in meant crossing a line she wasn't sure she was ready for. "It's okay," he said gently, holding the door open but keeping his distance. "You don't have to stay long." She nodded once and stepped inside. They sat at a corner table, far from the window. He placed a cup of hot coffee in front of her and slid a napkin across the table without saying anything. Both the bruise, though. His eyes had noticed it again under the brighter lights. She wrapped both hands around the cup, holding it tightly, letting the warmth seep into her fingers, like something she hadn't felt in a long time. For a moment, she just stared at it, as if unsure whether she deserved it. "You don't have to tell me anything," he said after a while, breaking the silence carefully. "I just didn't want to leave you out there." She gave a small, tired laugh, the kind that carried more pain than humor. Most people do. He didn't argue with that. He just nodded. Minutes passed quietly. The sound of a spoon clinking against a mug at the counter filled the space between them. Slowly, her shoulders began to lower, the tension easing just a little. She took a sip of the coffee, and something in her expression softened us slightly. "I didn't plan this," she said suddenly, her voice low. "I had a place for a while." She paused, swallowing hard. It just wasn't safe anymore. He listened, not interrupting, not asking questions that might push her too far. "I thought I could figure it out," she continued, "but I didn't think it would get this bad." Her hand instinctively moved near her eye, then stopped. "Halfway, you don't have to go back," he said quietly, his words simple but steady. She looked up at him, then really looked this time. There was no pressure in his face, no expectation, just a calm kind of concern she wasn't used to. "And go where?" she asked, almost offensively. He hesitated for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "I have a spare room," he said. "It's nothing special, but it's safe. You can stay there, just until you figure things out. No strings attached." The offer hung in the air between them, heavy with risk and possibility. She didn't answer right away. Trust wasn't something she could give Isolina anymore. But as she looked around the quiet cafe, then back at the rain outside, and finally at him, something inside her shifted. "Just for a little while," she said, cautiously. He nodded. "Just for a little while."